Hi there folks, welcome to Dunsy's Guitar World. Today's video is a little bit different. I won't be playing any guitar. I will be looking at a band who only released one album way back in 1983. So the band are the Allen Collins Band. I'm a bit of a fan of the Allen Collins Band. So today's entire video is just a little bit about the Allen Collins Band, a little bit of history of the band, a little bit of Alan's history, and a look at the tour dates which I could find, and this bootleg, which I've collected bootlegs since the early 80s as well. I used to record all the gigs I went to and swap them with people, and this is the only Allen Collins Band CD, or tape, CDR as it is now, which you could ever get. And the reason I'm doing this video today is, you can tell I'm a fan. The reason I'm doing this video today, I was so excited about 2 weeks ago. I noticed that somebody has released the whole of an Allen Collins Band live show. But this is the first time I was even aware of a video, never mind somebody putting it out. So that, as soon as I saw that, I thought I'd been meaning to do this video for ages. Some history of Allen Collins, his musical career, and then a look at the Allen Collins Band album, and then some of the gigs. So Larkin Allen Collins Jr. was born in Jacksonville, Florida on the 19th of July 1952. Began playing guitar at 12 years of age. Inspired in the early days by the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show, he formed the mods with his friend Larry Steele on bass, Donnie Ulsh on guitar, and James Rice on drums. There's an early picture of those young men. And Collins attended Nathan B. Forrest High School. In the summer of 1964, Ronnie Van Zant, Gary Rossington, Bob Burns, Larry Junstrom formed the band. So these are the first four guys in the band. 2 weeks later, Allen Collins joined. The band would eventually become Lynyrd Skynyrd via the names My Backyard, Conquer the Worm, which I think luckily was only for a day or two, and then the Noble Five, and finally the 1% by 1968. 2 years later, Allen married Kathy Jones, 1970. Between 1973 and 1977, Lynyrd Skynyrd released 5 studio albums and 1 live album. 2 days after releasing the album Street Survivors, they had performed at the Greenville Memorial Auditorium in Greenville, South Carolina. So the following day they got on their plane, which was a Convair CV-240. So as we know now, the plane ran out of fuel before they made it to Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So killed in the plane crash were singer Ronnie Van Zant, new guitarist Steve Gaines, backup singer Cassie Gaines, who was Steve's sister, the road manager Dean Kilpatrick, both pilots. So Allen Collins himself was seriously injured in the crash. He broke 2 vertebrae in his neck and had severe damage to his right arm. Now from what you read, it looked like he may never play a guitar again. He may have to get his arm amputated, but luckily he did manage to regain the use of his right arm and continued to play. In 1979, Gary and Allen formed the Rossington Collins Band. Joining them are Leon Wilkinson on bass and Billy Powell on keyboards. Now instead of getting a male singer, they go with Dale Krantz, who had been a backup singer for 38 Special. And to fill out the band, they get Barry Lee Harwood, who had played with Skynyrd previously. He played on Made in the Shade on Nothing Fancy. He played mandolin on All I Can Do Is Write About It, which is on Gimme Back My Bullets. And he played dobro on Honky Tonk Nighttime Man, the final album that the original lineup put out, so on Street Survivors. And on drums, they have Derek Hess. So the Rossington Collins Band released 2 albums. The first one, Anytime, Any Place, Anywhere, and the second one, This Is the Way. In 1980, Allen suffers even more heartbreak when his wife Kathy dies, following a miscarriage of their 3rd child. So the Rossington Collins Band disbanded in 1982. After the Rossington Collins Band split up in 1982, Allen decides to form the Allen Collins Band, and he retains Barry Lee Harwood on guitar, Leon on bass, Billy on piano and Derek Hess on drums, and joining them are Randall Hall, who actually ended up playing in Skynyrd. He plays on Southern by the Grace of God, 1991, and The Last Rebel. Now on vocals this time, they get a chap called Jimmy Doherty, who had been the singer in Alias. Now strangely enough, there's another connection here. On the Alias album Contraband, some of the studio musicians on that are Liam Wilkinson, Billy Powell, Artemis Pyle. Now the Alias band consisted of Dorman Coburn. It's funny with my Scottish accent, I'm saying these how I pronounce them in Scottish. It may be Cogburn, I don't know. Dorman Coburn, Jimmy Doherty, Ricky Powell, who I believe was Billy's brother, on the bass, and Jojo Billingsley, and they were joined by the various session musicians. So that is a very, very quick backstory of Allen Collins, his work in Lynyrd Skynyrd, Rossington Collins Band, and then on to the Allen Collins Band. And they record Here, There and Back. What's it like? It's a great album. It's funny because I'd never heard anything from it. You know, this wasn't played on the radio. I don't remember hearing any songs. I'd never been at anybody's house who put on the Allen Collins Band album. But it's a good album. I mean, it's not Skynyrd. It's not as rocky as Skynyrd. There's more kind of commercial, I think. But there is some fantastic guitar playing. Some great lead guitar playing from all three. From Allen Collins, from Randall Hall. And I'll tell you what, Barry Harwood is a great guitar player. I'll put a link to Barry's website down below. He's a fantastic guitar player. So let's have a very, very brief listen to some of the lead work on Here, There and Back by the Allen Collins Band. So some stellar lead guitar playing on this album. There's a lot of guitar interplay between the three lead guitarists. And there's one of the tunes which is in drop D, which I think Barry Harwood sings. And there's plenty Billy Powell's piano on it as well. And Jimmy Doherty, is a great singer, it has to be said. He's got a really good voice and he really suits the style of music that the Allen Collins Band are playing. It is more sort of commercial than Skynyrd, I would say. Maybe the direction Skynyrd were going in when they got to Street Survivors, but he does really suit this music. So the first live date I could find was on the 30th of May 1983 at the Music Fest, which was held at the Mid-South Fairgrounds in Memphis, Tennessee. Now I managed to get this programme for the whole of this event. It seemed to go on for a couple of weeks. Look at the lineups for various days and look at the lineup on the day that the Allen Collins Band played. So opening the day at 1 PM we have the Ronnie Hammond Band, second on the Allen Collins Band, and then Molly Hatchet at 4 PM. Now I don't know much about the two headline acts, I have to say, Keith Sykes and LaRue. If you know a bit about them, please do let me know in the comments. So on June the 15th, 1983, we are in Fort Lauderdale in Florida at a venue called Summers on the Beach. So I managed to find a couple of old photographs from, I think the 70s, maybe early 80s, of the Summers on the Beach venue, which was located at 219 South Atlantic Boulevard. So that was June the 15th, 1983. And then we move on to upstate New York, The Chance in Poughkeepsie, on July the 8th of 1983. And this is a famous old venue as well. And then the next date I have is a few months later, on October the 31st of 1983, at the Boathouse in Norfolk, Virginia. Now I found a few pictures of this old venue as well. The venue is now closed down. This is what it looks like, or what it looked like a few years ago. It seems to have had a lot of cool bands playing there, you know, all the way through the 80s and 90s, maybe even into the early 2000s. And that takes us on to the Lone Star Cafe in New York City. Now I remember seeing this bootleg listed on like old lists of tapes, and it said the Lone Star Cafe. I just assumed it was in Texas or somewhere like that, but it turns out it's in New York City. So let's look at the Lone Star Cafe. Looks like a pretty cool old venue. So this was a bootleg that you could get, and I believe the video, which is linked in the comments to this, which is on another YouTube channel, I believe this may be from that very concert. So the set list for this at the Lone Star Cafe on November the 2nd, 1983, they opened with Just Trouble, Working for MCA, Chapter 1, Ready to Move, Sweet Home Alabama, One Known Soldier, which I think when you listen to the Allen Collins Band, that's the one that's more like, I mean, it's shorter than Freebird and shorter than Tashona by the Rossington Collins Band, but that's the one that is the kind of big production with the sort of quieter intro and stuff. It's a brilliant song. I would say it's my favourite song on the Allen Collins Band album. So it's One Known Soldier, then Hanging Judge, and then Commitments, Time After Time, and then That Smell, and they finish with Freebird. What else are they going to finish with? So there you have it, the Allen Collins Band. I hope you found this video interesting. Maybe there was some stuff in it which you didn't know. Maybe there's some stuff that you know that I don't know. Maybe you saw the Allen Collins Band. I mean, if you saw the Allen Collins Band, please do let me know in the comments below. I'd be very interested to hear of anybody who saw, which must have been not a lot of dates, in 1983 to support the release of Here, There and Back. So as ever folks, it's a privilege and a pleasure bringing you content on Dunsy's Guitar World. Cheers for now.